we are starting things off with the Browns and the Titans. This is a game that I've been looking forward to all year, not just because the Titans whooped up on my Browns a year ago, Cynthia, but we're finally playoff contenders, and that is exciting. So I'm going to tell you what I'm looking for. I am looking for Jarvis Landry. There's a lot of big-time players in this game, but Jarvis Landry, who came on strong a week ago against the Jacksonville Jaguars, him going against this Titans secondary, which hasn't been playing that great all season, just as the Browns get their passing game going. Baker Mayfield had his best game last week. So I want to see Jarvis take over the way he did last week and continue to be the team leader that has been the catalyst for this turnaround for the Cleveland Browns. What do you got, Cynthia?
I'm looking at both main running backs and also the second one in Cleveland as well. So all of the running backs are in play. If you look at the yards over expected in terms of what the next gen stats show, these guys all appear, and I'm saying Nick Chubb, I'm saying Derrick Henry, and I'm saying Kareem Hunt. They all appear as top 10 players in the yards over expected rush yards, which means they're expected to do, let's say, 5 yards, and they're getting like 10. So if you look to see how impactful and important this is, that's what helped keep the passing game going for both teams, because they both rely on play action quite a bit. So if you have 2 great running backs, or maybe 3, depending on how you want to look at it, then that really allows both of those quarterbacks to stay really efficient in terms of play action. What are you looking at, Greg?
Yeah, these two teams are pretty similar. Great running games, kind of shaky defenses. The elephant in the room, you haven't even brought him up, Hawk, is Baker Mayfield. I mean, it's time. Let's move it forward, Baker Mayfield. As a rookie, I used to do this article called QB Index. I graded every single play all season. I had him as a top 10 quarterback as a rookie. The last 2 years, I would not put him necessarily in the top 20. And they're building an offense that doesn't need a lot out of Baker Mayfield. But I saw last week him make some tight window throws. He let it rip a little more. It's time for Baker Mayfield to show he can keep up with a Ryan Tannehill and keep up in a shootout.
I like that. I think you're spot on, man. This is a perfect time for Baker Mayfield to shut some people up. It is the Titans who are favored in this one by 5.5. And I, by no surprise, am going with the Cleveland Browns. Ooh. I think Baker Mayfield absolutely will show up, show out, prove people like Greg wrong, and tell them, hey, I'm ready to show everyone that I am a top 10 quarterback, and I'm ready for this surge into the playoffs. Cynthia, you go next. Tell me why I'm wrong.
I was trying to look around my room to see if I had something small that I could throw, but I don't. So I'm just going to tell you I have the Titans winning this one 29-24. I don't necessarily think that it's going to come down to Baker Mayfield. I think it's going to come down to the fact that Derrick Henry will be on the field for such a long time that Baker Mayfield won't be able to catch up. So for me, a 5-point win for the Titans. What do you have, Greg?
Yeah, I have a 4-point win for the Titans. I was pumping my fist earlier, Hawk, because it's like I want to catch up a game, and you're taking the Browns on the road in like their biggest game since you and Brian Hoyer were 1-7-4. I don't think this season will go that way, and you know what? A close loss will be almost like a moral victory. Baker Mayfield, I think he will play well in this game, but they come up a little short because of the defense. What's next, Ricky?
Bills versus 49ers in Arizona. Good news, Buffalo. No Kyler Murray this
Bills
time around.
and Niners. I am really excited for this game because the 49ers are back. When Deebo Samuel is on the field again, they are a different team. Now Brandon Ayuk is coming off the COVID-19 list. These two guys together are incredible, the Yak Bros. And Kyle Shanahan sets up an offense for the two of them where they can just make plays after the catch. And you don't need Nick Mullins to go deep like this too often. They can do it on their own. Raheem Mostert also healthy. It's the first time since week 6 that these three players have been on the field together, and I think it gives them a fighting chance because we know that 49ers defense has been playing well over the last few weeks. What do you think, Cynthia?
I think Tre'Davious White has something to say about your analysis because those receivers are going to have to deal with a true shutdown corner. The thing about White is he doesn't get as much maybe media as we see some of the other more kind of LA-centric guys. I'm talking about you, Jalen Ramsey. But Tre'Davious White has played out of his mind. He's great in coverage, and this defense is actually coming on stronger and stronger. Yes, they're missing some pieces of the linebacking core. We don't know what's going to happen with Matt Milano, which is a big piece of this one. However, Tre'Davious White, that's going to be a problem. And so if you have any of those receivers in fantasy, kind of figure it out because you got to be careful of Tre'Davious White. What do you have, Hawk?
I love where you're going with that. Tre'Davious White has been balling, and that's why I'm looking at Raheem Mostert now that he's back in the lineup and for this running game for the San Francisco 49ers, which has always been their bread and butter. Him being there, yes, they're going to try to, push the defense up and kind of pack the box, but this is a guy who can get to the edge and open it up for Ayuk and Debo on the outside. More than anything, I just trust Kyle Shanahan's ability to figure it out, and he's done that in a big way, especially facing all the injuries that this team has this season.
This is a nice little Monday night game. The Niners are actually favored. I'm kind of amazed by that. They're favored by a point. That's disrespectful. I'm taking the Bills by 1 point. It's a coin flip game to me. I'm with you, Cynthia. I have noticed their defense playing a little more like the Bills defense I was expecting to see early in the season, especially last week. Thought it was their best game. So I give them just a little bit of an edge because of the quarterback difference here with Nick Mullins starting for San Francisco.
I, too, have a 1-point win for the Buffalo Bills. And why? Because Josh Allen is a scrambling quarterback who can get out of harm's way, and that's a problem for the San Francisco front. We've seen that with, that guy Kyler Murray in week 1 when they were at more full speed, full strength in that one. So for me in this game, a 1-point win for the Bills. Circle the wagons. You got to be nice to me in my mentions this week, for once. Hawk, what do you have?
I'm going against the grain here. I'm going with the 49ers.
Another lone hawk.
I think Kyle Shanahan.
Lone hawk.
Opening the show, 2 lone hawks in a row. Salah is salivating at shutting down this Bills offense, specifically Josh Allen, because he's trying to pack his bags to Detroit next season, and this is the perfect time to showcase that. But let's dig in a little deeper, Cynthia, and let's do the math.
Okay, so we're going to do some math so that Robert Saleh doesn't have to in this one. All right, so when I look at this game, I want to tell you that Stephon Diggs will have more than 70 receiving yards at the 49ers. Why? They allow 15.6 yards per attempt on deep passes. That's the 6th most in the NFL. And Diggs has a 135.4 passer rating when targeted on deep passes. You know how you get a lot of yards quickly? A deep reception. Stephon Diggs, more than 70 receiving yards at the Niners. Ricky, what's next?
Sunday in Arizona, Rams at Cardinals. Save a little hot water for your guests on Monday, please.
Oh, I get it. They have people over for the holidays and beyond. All right, so we got the Rams and the Cardinals. What I'm looking for in this one is Jalen Ramsey. Obviously, he'll be matched up against DeAndre Hopkins in this one. Don't know if he'll follow the entire time, but this is a matchup that has been one for the ages. If you look back at the 7 times they've gone against each other, it's been pretty even. But this is the first time Ramsey will be going against Hop with a guy like Kyler Murray who loves to throw the deep ball, loves to air it out, loves to flash that arm. DeAndre Hopkins has been balling this year. Jalen has been balling this year, and I want to see Jalen step up to the challenge. Cynthia, what do you got?
So I want to talk about Kyler Murray on the ground. We saw he had a shoulder injury. Yes, we're now 2 weeks removed for that shoulder injury. But you know what isn't impacted by a shoulder injury? His ability to rush. And on this defense with Aaron Donald coming at you with all of the force, his ability to design runs and scramble and kind of get that extra 1-2 steps to get him out of harm's way, that is a true difference maker, especially when you have to account for Aaron Donald with maybe 3 people, right? So that opportunity could open up more lanes for him. So his rush yards in this game, I expect to go back up. So for fantasy purposes, by the way, he's already your fantasy quarterback 1. Still, this is going to be the rush game for him.
All right, they need to. He said last week it was really the Patriots defense keen on him, wanting him to hand the ball off on those run pass options. I'm not so sure the shoulder is a problem. He threw it great last week. I'm looking at the Rams quarterback Jared Goff in this game, who did not throw the ball great. It was mental decisions in terms of what he did, and then it was inaccuracy later in the game. He's trying to make some plays with his feet occasionally. That's not working too well. And when he gets in a little bit of a hole, he often doesn't dig his way out. And that would be my existential worry. If I'm a Rams fan, do we think we can get through a 3-game playoff run without Jared Goff having one of those games against a really good defense?
I love it. Rams are favored in this one by 2.5. We'll go to picks here. I'm going with the Cardinals. I think that Kyler Murray bounces back after last week. He doesn't take kindly to losses, and I think we'll see him bounce back in a big way against a division opponent, against a defense with 2 of the top 10 defenders in the entire National Football League. Cynthia, what do you got for me?
not only is my 1-point win for Arizona one of my finest, but also I think Greg said the word existential, which is great. So we're going to get some, Kant in here, maybe some other philosophers. And also we get to say Budda Baker. So Budda Baker is going to be a factor in this one. You have to figure out Cooper Kupp, look out. Budda Baker's coming for you, buddy. Greg, what do you have?
I can't believe you went with the Cardinals here. This is one of my favorite picks. I got the Rams winning by 10. I know I just talked trash on Jared Goff, but this Cardinals offense has not been impressing me. And I love this Rams defense with Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. I think they shut it down. It's a lone Greg pick. That's right. Let's go to break.
Good opportunity for me to extend my lead. Saints and Falcons, since no one seems to sympathize with me.
Not at all.
What I'm looking for in this one is Taysom Hill, who has been up and down. Yes, the Saints have come away with 2 victories since he's been starting, but there have been questions. We've seen some inconsistencies. We've seen some inaccuracy. We've seen him throw friendly throws that he's relied on for his completions. And that's the question. We know that this is the guy the Saints feel like they're going forward with in the future. In order for them to maintain their position and get a bye into the playoffs, which they desperately need, he is going to have to play lights out starting this week against a divisional opponent. Cynthia, tell me why I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think you're wrong. I'm actually looking at the Falcons defense,
Boom.
who we saw bring the heat last week against the Raiders. You saw a lot of forced turnovers. The pressure was hugely upticked. That's great English right there. But what happened is it ultimately led to 5 takeaways, 5 sacks, and 8 tackles for a loss. That's huge, and that completely determined the entire game. The Raiders couldn't dig out of that hole, and we've seen that Raiders offense be incredibly efficient, especially at converting third downs, and they just could not get it going. So that pressure up front, that's going to be really interesting, even though Raheem Morris thinks stats are for losers. What do you have, Greg?
Oh, that's not nice of Raheem.
He said it, not me.
I've been on the Raheem train here too, but now I might be getting off because he's playing the Saints for the second time in 3 weeks. And one thing that hasn't changed over those 3 weeks is that the Saints defensive line dominates every time they play the Atlanta offensive line. Cam Jordan gets a sack against Matt Ryan about every other play. I think he has the most sacks any active player against any quarterback. And it's not just him. It's David Onyemata. Marcus Davenport is out for this game, but Trey Hendrickson steps right in, and he's going to get pressure. So I love this matchup. I picked the Falcons in this matchup last time around, and they burned me. But the one thing that doesn't change is this Saints defense has just been awesome over the last month.
I love it. Cam Jordan, undercover Hall of Fame career candidate.
Like that.
Mark my words there. All right, we'll get to picks here. Saints are favored by 3 in this one. Like Greg said last time he picked them, wasn't very smart. I'm going with the Saints. I won't fall into that trap. I do feel like this is a better team regardless of how Taysom Hill plays, but it is an opportunity to kind of silence some of the critics. Cynthia, what do you got?
I have a Saints win. And by the way, that defense is the best scoring defense in the National Football League. I have a 5-point win here because in divisional matchups, they do manage to keep it closer, and the Taysom Hill factor must be considered, as in all his running yards and rushing yards doesn't necessarily rack up the points like we saw with the Drew Brees quick pass offense. So what do you have, Greg?
I have the Saints winning by 4. I didn't have the guts to do it 2 times in a row. Although weird things happen in this matchup. Weird things happen in the division. You can tell I don't really believe it. Taysom Hill is the quarterback, but the Saints are so balanced. Their running game, their defense, special teams, it's all good. Let's do some math. That's always good.
Let's do some math on Alvin Kamara. Well, he's not going to have the rushing day fantasy managers want. 56 rush yards. It's going to be fewer than that. Why? He only averages 48.5 scrimmage yards per game in Taysom Hill's 2 starts this season. And by the way, that was 126. Those are scrimmage yards with Brees. Now, when you look at what happened last time, Kamara, he had 45 rush yards in that Week 11 win over the Falcons. So I don't necessarily think it's going to be different. Latavius Murray is vulturing, as is Taysom Hill. So when it comes to Alvin Kamara, expect some short passes, but not the run yards that you would expect. Okay, so now what do we have, Ricky?
Washington at Steelers. I like that Pittsburgh is making the 72 Dolphins sweat it out a little.
But how much longer will they be sweating it out? There's a little tease. I'm excited about this Washington football team. This is the most fun Washington team I can remember, maybe since Clinton Portis and Jason Campbell. They were pretty fun, too. Antonio Gibson, I'm not going to say he's Clinton Portis, but, man, this guy's got a lot of power, a lot of juice, a lot of speed, and he's got a great offensive coordinator in Scott Turner who shows a lot before the snap, and he can run it up the middle. And I think this Steelers team can be run on. They've struggled with some option football. You saw it against the Ravens a few different times. Antonio Gibson is that option football type of running back. I wish Alex Smith still had his old athleticism, but he's making the players around him better by getting into the right plays, and Antonio Gibson has really benefited from it.
These teams have some similarities, as in they have great defensive fronts. They use quick passes a lot, and their run game was not consistent in the beginning. There's some inconsistencies, but again, Washington's being a little bit better. One area where the Steelers have not impressed me in recent games, one touchdown in 4 red zone drives versus the Ravens. I understand the Ravens defense is awesome, but they were missing a bunch of pieces. Compound that with no Bud Dupree, and I think we're going to see something interesting happen in this game. What do you have, Pac?
I love it. The chase for the Steelers to catch the Miami Dolphins of 1972 continues. That is a segue. I'm looking at the two chases in this game, which to me are the difference makers. You have Chase Young of the Washington football team, as well as Chase Claypool of the Pittsburgh Steelers, because Chase Young has been a tyrant to opposing quarterbacks. He does not play like a rookie. My pick for Defensive Rookie of the Year, he is going to give this Steelers team fits. And on the Chase Claypool side, the Steelers have to be able to throw the ball downfield, especially with some of the run game woes. They have to push it. They're doing well. They're efficient, but their yards per completion is low, and they're going to have to open this up for their offense.
So the Steelers are favored by 7 points in this game. It's a short week, and I'm ready for the football team to go shock the world with a 20-17 victory. I told you why Antonio Gibson's going to be problems for them. How about the interior defensive line of Washington against a Marquise Pouncey-less Steelers offensive line, creating some pressure up front? We've been having fun on this show, but we need a little more fun, a little more joy in our lives in 2020. And you know what I want to see? I want to see Alex Smith having a post-game interview at about 5 p.m. Pacific time on a Monday afternoon and enjoying beating the last undefeated team in the league, the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's got to happen. Jump on board, everybody.
Okay, so I'm on board-ish, as in I only have a 4-point win for the Steelers, 21-17 in this matchup. The loss of Bud Dupree is a big deal. This is the league's #1 pressure-generating defensive front. And by the way, Washington's #7. So you look to see, without Bud Dupree, there's going to be some, they gotta figure it out because he's a big part of that pressure. So I think it could be a nice, close game. And I do root for fun. And so I do actually still have Washington winning the division, just not this game. What do you have, Pac?
Yeah, I mean, as a former Bengal Brown, I mean, Steelers losing, you would think I was clapping because I agree with Greg. No, I was clapping because that was a wrong pick.
No.
I'm clapping because I get to extend my lead on him by going with the Pittsburgh Steelers, who absolutely will beat the Washington football team because they are a better squad, Greg. It's simple. That's how this works. All right. That's right. We got the Cowboys at the Ravens. We're going right to picks here. The Ravens are favored by 7.5 in this one. I am going with the Ravens. They are a better football team. They actually even played a lot better against the Pittsburgh Steelers than I think a lot of us expected. They won't have to go against that level of a team in Dallas. So going with the Ravens. And I also want to say, random insight, random tidbit I'm looking for, Dez Bryant absolutely worked his way back. Can't wait to see him play against his old squad. Throwing up X's for my man. Good luck out there, Dez. What do you got, Cynthia?
I love a good Dez Bryant comeback story. I have 31-17 in this one. I do want to talk about Hollywood Brown because we saw some great catch and run football from him. He's really good at figuring out that kind of maneuvering after the catch. I also think the deep pass is an area to really target against the Cowboys, who give up a bajillion passer rating. That's the technical number right there. They give up the best passer rating or the highest passer rating in the NFL. So this is going to be an opportunity for both Dez and, of course, Hollywood Brown to do some damage against the secondary that's been really, really generous to opposing wide receivers.
Yeah, I have the Ravens winning as well, 23-16, but that's assuming Lamar Jackson plays in this game. He is still on the COVID-19 list. He's eligible to come off on Sunday, but it's the Ravens defense that makes me feel good about this team. Marlon Humphrey, and everyone saw it in that Pittsburgh game when he forced a couple more fumbles, has been great all year. A complete cornerback who tackles, leads the league in forced fumbles. Between Humphrey and Marcus Peters, I think that's kind of the biggest part of this team that is going to save them against a really good Cowboys receiving core. Erica, what's coming up next?
Colts at Texans. Does anyone feel comfortable picking either of these teams?
I feel a little comfortable picking the Colts. They're favored by 3.5, and I'm going to go ahead and take them to win by more than that because they're going up against a Texans team that right now is going to be without Bradley Roby and Will Fuller, who were both suspended in this last week. And the Colts are as good as their running game. And sometimes they bring in Jacoby Brissett to help them with that running game, which is like my favorite storyline of the year because they're replacing Phillip Rivers, who's the slowest quarterback in the league, with like the 29th slowest quarterback in the league and Jacoby Brissett, but it's working somewhat, and I think it is telling that Phillip Rivers is not 100% right now. So they're getting everyone involved. Jonathan Taylor's going to be back. I think they'll be able to run the ball at least enough to win this game 30-24. What about you, Cynthia?
Okay, so I have 26-24 in this matchup. DeForest Buckner was just activated. That goes along really well with Jonathan Taylor, who's now back. We'll have to see what happens with Buckner. I'm pretty sure he's playing, but again, we have to wait till Sunday for that one. It could change the score. But Jonathan Taylor's ability to exploit the run vulnerability of the Texans defense is a key matchup. Of course, they have Nyheim Hines. Of course, they have a bunch of other people that could possibly run the ball too. But Jonathan Taylor, especially on those inside runs, the real Wisconsin football kind of thing where he came from, that's where he's going to make a difference in this one. 26-24. I really like his opportunity in fantasy this week. What do you have, Hawk?
I really have to get some kind of head garb to put on because I'm going Lone Hawk again on this one. I'm going with the Texans. I don't trust the Indianapolis Colts. I said it. They have a good defense, but when they play these teams with competent offenses, they don't look like the number one defense that they were at one point in the season. And Deshaun Watson has looked great, even though his record does not show that. He has been playing lights out. They are coming to his house. I like Cornell. I like Watson to get away with a W here.
Starting with Colt McCoy time, baby. Giants and Seahawks.
If you had Colt McCoy starting for the first place New York Giants on your 2020 bingo list, come on down. You've won $1 million. All right, so we got the Giants at the Seahawks. Seahawks are favored in this one by 10. I am going with the Seahawks. While, let Russ Cook win for MVP has kind of waned a little bit. This is still a good team. The defense has been playing a lot better as of late. Cynthia, what do you got?
I was a little surprised with this one, but I have a 9-point win for Seattle, 29-20. This one has some of these stay away characteristics on it for me. Why? Because I really like to see Wayne Gallman and his over 49 rush yards in this one that are projected. That helps solidify the Giants. The reason I say maybe stay away is the potential change at quarterback and all of the things that could mean. But I do think Wayne Gallman is a difference maker and someone who doesn't get enough shine because, that guy Saquon Barkley usually takes it from him. What do you have, Greg?
Another difference maker, Patrick Graham, the Giants defensive coordinator, keeps this game closer than you'd expect. I have a 9-point difference as well. It's too bad Danny Dimes is hurt in this game because I think he was playing his best football of the year. But Leonard Williams is playing really well. Jabril Peppers, I think they could actually slow down Seattle, at least keep the score down somewhat.
James Bradbury, too.
Yeah, I love it. I'm looking at this Patriots-Chargers game, and it's a pick'em. And I have to admit, for the first time all season, I'm kind of feeling some things about this Patriots team. Their win last week has emotionally made me pick them again this week to win 23-20. The way they won with special teams and situational football and just like a couple ugly plays and luck, frankly, and like a lucky call, that started bringing me back to 2001. And this is a mismatch, Bill Belichick versus Anthony Lynn, in terms of clock management and just all the finer little things. I think they can find a way to get to 6-6 here.
Okay, so I have a 1-point win in this game for the Patriots. I'm feeling some kind of way about the injury report with every single Patriot pretty much listed on it, though. So
I know,
this one's kind of tricky for me. 25-24. That's a Bill Belichick trick right there. That's an interesting one. But I want to talk about Keenan Allen, who I think is going to have a great game. Over 66 receiving yards. I understand this Patriots defense is not one to be messed with, but I think Keenan Allen has something special going on with Justin Herbert. So I do think 66 yards is very achievable for him. Hawk, what do you have?
Yeah, I'm going Patriots as well. I mean,
wow.
I get all the feels you guys have, so we're now on meme alert for this. But more importantly, I don't care how good Justin Herbert is. I'm not picking a rookie quarterback against Bill Belichick. That's blasphemy. So I'm going with the Patriots, and I don't care who doesn't like it. All right, next up, we have the Broncos at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are favored in this one by 13.5 points. I'm going with the Chiefs. I should pick a score because the margin is so crazy. I'm not gonna, because I don't care if it's Hinton. I don't care if it's Drew Lock. It's not gonna matter. Chiefs get a W. Cynthia, you're up.
Yeah, so I have a big Chiefs win here as well. I think the interesting part with this one is about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. By the way, 32-17, so I have a 15-point win in this one. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who has been ill all week, is expected to play on Sunday. This will be a difference maker for me in terms of your fantasy team. It won't shift the score too dramatically much, but this is a game where he's going to have over 59 rush yards. This is a get right, get back on track for the rookie who started off strong, had some games in between that were not quite what fantasy managers were looking for. However, in this game, I think he comes back strong. What do you have, Greg?
Yeah, I agree. I have the Chiefs winning 31-14. That might be kind. These teams have played 3 times since Vic Fangio took over, and the scores have been a combined 96-25. I mean, that's gruesome. You got to be able to compete inside your own division, and the Chiefs are really due for a blowout win. They've had 3 straight close games. Drew Lock has been a part of the worst ranked offense in the league in terms of DVOA, and that was before Kendall Hinton ever played a game. So don't blame everything on him. Their offense has been a mess. Finally, let's go to Packers and Eagles. The Packers are favored by 8.5 points in this game. I have the Packers winning by a couple of touchdowns. I believe that the Eagles offense now are the new slump busters. They've replaced the Bears. Like, if you've got problems up front, if you can't stop the run, just play the Eagles and everything with your defense is going to be fine afterwards.
I love a good slump buster. I have the Packers winning very convincingly. I have a 9-point win. 29-19 in this matchup. I think all of the guys named Aaron are going to be a big fantasy factor. I think Aaron Jones, who rushes in between the tackles really efficiently, 5.7 yards per rush, 4th best in the NFL. That's going to be an interesting one to watch because the Eagles are actually good at stopping this. So if you're looking to see what his projected usage is in fantasy, it's still going to be explosive because this is a much different beast than what the Eagles are used to. What do you have, Hawk?
I'm with you guys. Meme alert again. We're all going Packers. The Eagles, I mean, they got to find some new answers because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. We are at that point. Packers will get the W. All right, let's check out the games we haven't gotten to yet. See if we got any mixes in this. And Greg,
ooh,
what's going on, man? You never picked the Bears. What's this about?
My wish came true. Not only did Cynthia take the Lions, Hawk did too. I love it.
I mean, when you get a new coach, you get a weird, sneaky win, and it's still Mitchell Trubisky playing. And I think that Matthew Stafford and T.J. Hawkinson are going to have something to say about that.
Exactly. I've been on a lot of teams where coaches have gotten fired, and there is a random bolt of motivation, when the old guard changes, and that's what I'm going for in Detroit.